Hey folks, welcome back to KKR Renewables Metal Recovery Channel. Big shout out to all of our miners and refiners out there making the metals we use every day. Our channel focuses on the recovery of those metals and making sure they get back into the production stream and don't wind up in our landfills. In today's video, we'll be recovering gold from gold-filled eyeglasses. We have 100 grams of 1/10 12-karat gold-filled glasses. Well, that's enough of the intro, so let's stop talking and get on that road to recovery. Here are the glasses I ordered off of eBay. They are in this nice Versace box. They are wire rim, gold filled with 1/10 12-karat gold. Let's get the scale and make sure they weigh 100 grams, and they do. All right, so here are all the wire glasses frames that I've purchased. They're all stamped, or most of them are stamped, 1/10 12K. So they're 50% gold. There's 100 grams of them right in here. So I'm expecting to get right at 5 grams of gold from processing these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to soak these in hydrochloric acid and peroxide, so the AP method. I'm going to cut them up first with my tin snips. I'm just going to take them, cut them into smaller pieces, and then I'll chuck them all in my bucket here. Got my little hole in the side of the bucket so I can insert an air hose, air tube, and pump air into this thing. And 30 days later or so, I'll come back and check and see how it goes. Maybe not quite that long, but let's go ahead and start. I just cut one of them up, and that's what I got. Cut them into smaller pieces so that the acid doesn't have to work quite so hard. All right. Here are my wire frames. They're cut up pretty good. And all right, next step is to throw in some hydrochloric acid in here, and I'll try to show that. And I'll use some old copper 2 chloride that I had to get that ball rolling. Put an air filter in here, or air pump in here, and let it run for a bit. All right, here I go. Put my gold in the bucket. Pour in enough to cover it. There's some leftover copper 2 chloride. And we'll put the air bubbler in it. All right, there we go. I'll let that bubble away for a couple weeks, and I'll come back and see how it works out. Let's just cover that up. I needed a bucket and needed to refresh the acids, so I drained the blue bucket and filtered the gold foils into a smaller bucket with fresh hydrochloric acid. I did this off camera, but hey, it's a bonus, shorter video. All right, so here's the bucket with the 12-karat 1/10 filled gold framed glasses in it. Like I said, it's been bubbling away for about 2 months. Just hadn't had a chance to get back to it yet. So I'm going to pull out the air bubbler. Pull this on out of here. Here's my setup. I've got my gold filled glasses in here. I will pour them into this 2-liter beaker. It's about 1 liter worth of liquid in this container, so I'm going to give myself a little extra room. I just want to see it before I begin to process it next. Then we'll filter it through our Buckner funnel into our flask. It's another super windy day here, so it's great if you want to live here and be outside. Not so great if you want to video record. Let's see what we have here. Liquid looks pretty light green, or pretty emerald green. So it does not look to me like it's overly saturated. I'm going to assume that all of the base metals have been dissolved. It's been filtered before. You can see all the gold bits and pieces in there. Just going to spray these out with a water sprayer. hydrochloric acid off of there. Right, here we go. Learned from a time earlier when it's pretty windy not to fill this up so full, because the wind does tend to blow the liquid around a good bit. So keeping it a little bit below the rim prevents any liquids from splashing out. It's been quite a while since I started the second soaking in hydrochloric acid for these glasses. I'd actually forgotten I did it twice, but looking at the tint and the clarity of this hydrochloric acid, I'm reminded that this is my second hydrochloric acid soak with a bubbler. So my understanding is these glasses have bronze in their base as their base metal, which contains tin. We had to definitely get all that out. I believe we have all of that out now, so I'm going to go straight to aqua regia with this, since I have been soaking it so long in hydrochloric acid, and it's actually my second hydrochloric acid soak. Something to be really careful of when you're using one of these beakers with one of these flask beakers with the suction is you want to make darn sure that you don't put anything in the Buckner funnel that's going to allow the acids to flow up into this part of the flask and out through the suction and into your pump. I've done that once before and it ruins the pump immediately. Right, this flask is full and ready to be dumped. I'm gonna put it in my copper 2 chloride container for reuse later. There's plenty of acid left in that solution. Alright, we are back and we are ready to continue on. I'm going to pull all this material down into the Buckner funnel. Gonna rinse this out with some tap water. This is just tap water. No need to spend the money on distilled water at this point. It's really important that we rinse as much of the copper out of this material as we can. Since we're going to go to aqua regia next, we want to get all the base metals out. We've dissolved the base metals. Now we want to make sure that we've washed this material thoroughly. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep adding water until we see the funnel discharge clear. Right now it's a light tint green. We want to have that to be completely clear. So this is what I'm talking about. It's a lighter green than it was before, and this discharge coming out of here is still tinted a light green. What we'll do is we'll add some additional water to this, maybe one more time. Then I'll dump this and put one more hot water bath through that material to make sure that it's going to come out clear, which means we've washed all out of the solution. Sorry about that wind. Here's the second hot water soak. That discharge is looking really clear right now. This is almost done draining, and you can see what a light tint green the solution has now. There's a little bit of copper left in there. And what we'll do now is I'll put that into a coffee burner and I will just evaporate that away. It's mostly water. I don't really want that to contaminate my copper 2 chloride solution that I'm going to be using for etching copper in the future. As you can see, it looks like we've got every visible trace of the color out of this liquid. I think it's pretty much 99%, 99.9% water at this point. Okay, we're going to take this over. I almost forgot that you need to incinerate the gold before you put it in the aqua regia, to get rid of any last remaining bits of oils that would have been left over from people wearing those glasses. So we're going to do that next. Alright, I'm over here in a reasonably well wind protected section of my yard, and I'm going to burn off these papers, and I'm going to incinerate this material as best as I can. I don't know if this black stuff there is oils and whatnot from people, but I'd like to make sure that this gold is as clean as it can be. Got my strainer up there just to diffuse the rings a little bit more. And make sure those papers don't go flying out. Alright, my battery died, so I took the opportunity to just evaporate the rest of that water out of there. Alright, I'm going to call this done. And we're just going to go ahead and put this gold right in the beaker that we're going to process it in. And I am going to wash this out, so no worries about missing any of that fine dust. There we go, it's looking good. I'm going to hit this with hydrochloric acid one more time, just for good measure. There's a fair amount of residue left in here. I'm going to wipe all this up with some paper towels because I think it's gold dust. I'm going to run that right into this beaker. That water has been evaporated away. And now we're gonna add probably about 200 milliliters of hydrochloric acid. 250. Put a lid on that. I'm gonna add a bubbler so that we don't oxygen starve the solution. There we are. We're gonna let that just cook, probably overnight. This has been cooking now for, it's been boiling in hydrochloric acid now for 24 hours. Looks like the liquid is fairly clear. We're gonna filter this one more time. Interestingly enough, it looks just like aqua regia, but it is not aqua regia. I am going to stannous chloride test that though, just to make sure that there's no precious metals in that fluid. Just as soon as I put that colder water in there, you can see it clouded right up. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'll have to do some research and figure that out. All right. Gonna give this a good stir. Liquid on here. And as you can see, there's no color change whatsoever, so that purple underneath there is just my glove. I have my glass thermometer because I'm going to be heating this up to 90 degrees centigrade. I'm just going to go ahead and put all this right on in there. Alright, I'm just going to get all of this gold foils in the beaker. And we're going to add hydrochloric acid to that. We're going to go with about 200 milliliters of hydrochloric acid. So I had 50 milliliters in there already of water. There's 250 milliliters total. I'm going to turn the heat on. I'm going to get this up to 90 degrees Celsius. And then we will add our nitric acid to make aqua regia. A couple milliliters at a time. I'm thinking probably 8 milliliters is going to do it. We'll see. Sitting, I don't know if you can see that, right at 95 degrees Celsius. So I turned the heat down just a tad. And we're going to go ahead and start adding in the nitric shots. That's about 2. See the reaction really kicking off already. See that? I want that to boil over, so I'm just going to let that cook. When that reaction stops, we'll add some more to it. I think I'll give you a little different view for the rest of these nitric adds. There, now you can see the reaction much better as it's happening. I'm going to give this a stir. That was a really violent reaction. So I'm a little worried about what is in here. So I'm hoping that my earlier summation that I had gotten all the base metals out of those glasses. I hope that was true. Looks like the reaction's fairly stopped, but I am still going to add just a, I'm going to give it a 1 milliliter shot. Just a little less than 1.5. There's 3 milliliters of nitric acid. I do see some reaction going on in there. Alright, we're going to add another milliliter of nitric acid. Another 1.5 milliliters. That doesn't seem to have any effect whatsoever. So we're going to let that cook, and if we can, stir for probably about 30 minutes, and then we'll filter it off. Right, we're going to go ahead and denox the solution while it's hot. Big strong reaction, so definitely overdid the nitric. No more reaction. We're going to double the water, and then we're going to turn the heat off and let it cool. I'm going to take it to about 600 milliliters. Turn the stirring, turn the heat off, and we'll let that cool. We'll be back when it's time to filter. Alright, we are ready to begin filtering. Got my filter paper in my Buckner funnel. Just going to give it a little bit of water. It's really important to go ahead and pre-soak your filter so that none of your precious liquids get underneath the filter before the vacuum pump has a chance to seal every pore in the Buckner funnel. All right. Let's go ahead and begin filtering. It's really cold outside, so you might see a little bit of steam coming off of here, but obviously I'm touching it, it's not hot. I'll show you how it's filtering. It's filtering really clear so far and at a pretty good pace. So let's not forget to do this and see how this turns out. We need to do a bit of a stannous chloride test. And it turned black immediately, so we know there's gold in that solution. That should slow down the filtration significantly. All that mud and goop is now clogging the filter. We'll be back when that's a little more filtered. This is almost completely filtered, and I can't believe how clear that looks. It's great. Just a first filtration. That filtration is completed. I'm going to go ahead and rinse this out. Add some water. I normally add hot water to this, but it dawns on me that I let that solution cool, so putting hot water in there might just put something back in solution that I don't want back in solution. So I'm just going to give it some room temperature water. Alright, that's filtered through. We're going to do it again. I'm going to do this one more time. Alright, last one. Alright, that's done. So we are going to go ahead and move this over to our catch here for just a moment. And we'll transfer this liquid. It looks super clear. I'm not going to worry about filtering it again. Right. Here is my solution now. I'm gonna warm it up a little bit because the sodium metabisulfite works better when it's a little warm, I have found. So I'm gonna let this warm up a little bit and then I'll be back to do the drop. Alright, here's a close-up view of the gold drop. I'm going to not use water this time, extra water, since I've already added so much water to the solution anyway. I am just going to add the sodium metabisulfite directly to this solution. I had to switch cameras because my GoPro battery died. Got a little motion in there. I'm just going to drop the sodium metabisulfite directly on in. Wow, look at that. Kind of a cool view, if I'm going to say so myself. more sodium sulfite just for good measure. That looks like about it to me. Okay, here we are the next day, and as you can see, our gold has settled nicely. Gonna do a quick stannous chloride test to make sure that there's no gold left in that solution, or if there is, there's negligible traces. It's completely clean, no color whatsoever, so we're good. We got all the gold out. I do see some things floating on top here, so I'm going to give this just a little spray down, just to knock anything from the top on down to the bottom. All right. I got my gold wash container right here. We're gonna pour this in, and I'm gonna try to give you a nice view down inside the container. Here's your view down inside the beaker. Just slowly pour that off. You see the gold just floating down to the bottom, or falling down to the bottom, or clumping together. That's exactly what we want to see. All right, we're going to get that set up for some hot water washes. There's our gold down there. It's looking really dark brown. You really want your gold to be a lighter brown color. We'll see if these washes can lighten that up and remove some of those impurities. I don't expect really the water to do that. I expect to remove the impurities when I put this on for a long half a day hydrochloric acid boil. Just gonna get that mixed up really good. And we're just gonna pour this off again. I'll put my spent aqua regia in this bottle, and I also put my water washes in this bottle just to catch any gold that might be coming over the rim as I'm giving my hot water washes, and reclaim any gold that may not have precipitated completely from the sodium metabisulfite. I'm hoping for 5 grams out of this. Does not look like it's going to be 5 grams. But we'll see. Alright, I'm going to put this on the hot plate, and we're going to put some hydrochloric acid in here. We'll cover it with a watch glass, and we will start a all-day hydrochloric acid boil. Here goes the hydrochloric acid. We're going to put about 300 milliliters in there. That's actually about 200 milliliters. And I'm going to add watch glass. And I'm going to add an air bubbler. Nice low heat, the air. All right, we will let this boil all day today. Here's our gold. It's been on a boil with an oxygen bubbler in it pretty much all day. we've lost about, looks almost like a full 100 milliliters of hydrochloric acid. Only a very little bit of color in the hydrochloric acid. Frankly, that may have been from my air bubbler. I probably should have started off with a clean one, but I did not. So we're going to take this off the heat, and we're going to filter this out into a filter paper and then take it to the melt dish. Since this is mostly hydrochloric acid at this point, I'm just going to pour this out into my copper 2 chloride container. There's our cleaned up gold. I do see something floating in there. I'm hoping to just go ahead and get that out of there before we take it to the melt dish. There it goes. Here's our first hot water wash. There's a look at the gold. It's looking really nice. It's clumping together. It's a brownish color. Since this is water, I'm just going to dump it right in here, and we're going to boil this off again. I don't want to contaminate my copper 2 chloride solution with water. I don't want to dilute it as much as I can, so I will avoid that. The beaker's hot. Alright, there's the second hot water wash. Everything that goes into this container to be evaporated off will be evaporated down, and then the solids will be added back to my copper 2 chloride and get put back into the waste stream, so I can process my waste materials and recover any gold that might have come out of there. Alright, here we have our filter paper. We're going to catch the gold in this filter paper and filter out any remaining water. Alright. Let's move this over here so we can see it better. Alright, we're just going to let that filter out, and then we're going to go straight to the melt dish. Here we are, we have our gold in the paper, and we're going to heat this melt dish up and transfer the paper over to the melt dish. Let's get to it. let's take this to some hydrochloric acid boil, and we'll get all that borax off of it. Here's our little bead. We're going to put it on a hydrochloric acid boil. So we're going to gently put it in here, or not so gently. Let's put some hydrochloric acid in there. Let's turn the heat on. Cover that up with a watch glass. All right, we're gonna let that boil for maybe an hour or so. All right, this has been boiling for about an hour. We're gonna go ahead and turn off the heat. Just a little bit of water to wash it off. Look at that. That cleaned up perfectly. Absolutely gorgeous. Let's go weigh this up.